Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy: How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between INFPs and ENFPs. I think that most people have asked themselves the question, who's the best match with the person based on certain characteristics? And I think that MBTI personality types is a good starting point because we're really looking at different brain types. So what do INFPs and ENFPs have in common? Obviously, they're both intuitive feelers. So these are people who are right brain dominant, and even in terms of their brainwave dominance, it is alpha. So it's between 9 to 11 cycles per second. The other aspect also is that they are obviously, in terms of their organizational style, they are the perceiver type. So these are people who don't mind changing things at the last minute. They're spontaneous. These are people who don't like things that are too rigid. So they are really about being more fluid. And also, you'll see that with the NFPs is that these are people who tend to have issues with time, so they're often late. So in other words, they won't get on each other's nerves because one is maybe more organized than the other, or feel pressured to be on time and not maybe fitting the sort of the schedule. So they will appreciate that. It's sort of like a sense of being more laid back. The other aspect is that obviously being intuitive feelers, so they are warm, they are affectionate, and also in terms of the theme of their lives, it is spirituality and meaning. So these are people who are very much about exploring the subtle aspect of life, and obviously it has to do with the human element. So as if you compare with let's say intuitive thinkers who are about focusing on the abstraction of the concrete, they will be interested in people, and people matters. So that will be interesting. The other point is that these are people who tend to have an artistic sort of bent. So these people, when you look at their function stack, they have extroverted intuition as their first or second function stack. So these people who like to sort of generate ideas. So they're good at brainstorming, and they'll be interested in, let's say, in movies, photography, the artistic aspect of life. So they don't do very well that way. Now, the challenge that they may encounter is that it has to do with the ENFP's tendency of not being very financially responsible compared to the INFP. So you'll see that the INFP is more conservative that way, and that the ENFP is more of a risk taker when it comes to their how to budget. So that could be an element that could create friction. But overall, I think they will do rather well, because if people have watched my other videos, is that I do promote that like attract like. So in other words, if a person is essentially the same personality type but is an introvert extrovert version, they usually do rather well. And also to keep in mind that even if an intuitive is officially an extrovert, they do still behave mostly like an introvert, because it has to do with the person's core energy. If a person's self-energy is higher than most people, which is the case for intuitive feelers, it means that they will need time alone to recharge. Obviously, the INFP will be even more of an introvert, but they will get along well because of the fact that they both will need time on their own with only maybe a few friends or family members to recharge. So overall, I think that it's going to be a rather positive and compatible couple if they decide to be together. So again, it has to do with the fact that they're both intuitive feelers. They're both into the organizational style is pretty much the same. They have the people sort of oriented type of interest. They tend to be rather artistic. So, and even in terms of like how they dress, you'll see that the INFP tends to be more stylish. So they might maybe give some pointers to the ENFP. But it won't be something that's really sort of like critical, like very, very critical, or a sort of like demeaning. They're just probably going to gently steer them, and the type of people also, when they have a conflict, they're not really sort of like aggressive or very demeaning. So they will appreciate that about each other. So in other words, because they're both intuitive feelers, they have the same organizational style. They are in a sense the introvert extrovert of that type, so they usually will get along really well, especially the fact that they like warmth and affection. These are people who like to spend time with their loved ones. So for all these reasons, I would say that it's going to be probably a successful match. The only point I would say that could create issues has to do with how they manage their money, because the INFP tends to be responsible, whereas the ENFP tends to be more liberal when it comes to how they manage their money. So let me know if you agree or disagree with the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of the videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.